Hey everybody, it's Nerdy30. Just wanted to say thank you for joining me for another quick video. I just wanted to throw this out here that this was a video I didn't intend to make. It just kind of happened while I was testing a video for the next series that I've been talking about. And I wanted to kind of show you what the experience was with it, because the longer I kept testing, the better I kept doing in the game. So the premise is going to be, can you play Fortnite on an 11-year-old computer? And I think you're going to be quite shocked with the results. I was actually pretty impressed, and once again, I was doing this to benchmark and to test. I didn't mean to play a full match. So if you like this kind of content, please consider giving the channel a like and subscribe. And this won't be a very long one, so let's get into it.
Drop that.
So the first thing I wanted to point out is, if you look at how laggy everything is loading into the map as I'm dropping in, if you look at a lot of other YouTubers who talk about Fortnite, apparently it's a thing where the first match always takes a little while to load in the map assets, which can lead to a little bit of stuttering. I have experienced the stuttering on way higher end computers when testing Fortnite, and it's usually within the first 15 to 45 seconds of a game. Now, I will say that I do believe that the hard drive for the system that I was testing, which is a 7200 RPM, 1 terabyte Western Digital Blue hard drive, I believe that drive is going out. It was suffering from 100% disk usage in the task manager, and I tried every trick in the book that I can to turn off certain resources that make that disk usage spin up to 100%. And as you can see throughout the match, that there are relatively long periods of time where it's pretty playable and everything seems to be going, and then we'll load in some new assets, and I think that's where that drive speed starts to affect the game.
Drop that.
Now, I just want to premise once again, I am not a great Fortnite player. Sometimes you see me stop in the middle of the game. I'm trying to look at keys on the keyboard to figure out what does what and try to get through it. Now, for the settings of this one, I had the performance settings on at 1080p resolution with, I believe it was 80% render scale, and I had the FPS capped at 120 frames. I wanted to see what numbers I could hit. I didn't think I was going to get above that 120, so that's what I capped it at. If you notice, right to the top left above the map on the display, I have turned on the in-game FPS counter, and in most areas I was between 40 to 50, and it was pretty common to see right at that 60 FPS limit. So to get a really good solid frame rate and help reduce some of the stuttering you're seeing, I think that capping that at 60 FPS, if not even 30, 30 might be a little too low. I know a lot of people don't like anything below 60, but as you can see, we're going. And this is my first interaction with a player. This is where I was thinking that I was going to actually die like I usually do when I encounter other players. But even with sub 60 FPS and the stutters, I get this first kill, as you can see. And from this point is when I started to continue playing, because usually I'll end the match right around 2 to 3 minutes in. But I wanted to see how far we could get. And as you notice with that first kill there was a little bit of a micro stutter. Some things that were hard to notice were you would see the color of like weapons and stuff, like the, if it's a silver or gray, green, blue, or whatnot, you would see the cloud or like the shape of it, but you wouldn't actually see what it was until you picked it up. So once again, I attribute that to the hard drive, and you'll see that ultimately the downfall of this match was the hard drive and load times. Now, unfortunately, I can't reveal the total specs of this system, as it is the computer that I'm using for the first episode of this new series I announced last week. What I will tell you is that it is an Intel processor and an Intel graphics card, and it is older than 8th gen on the processor, and the graphics card is older than a 10th gen. I wanted to highlight that section where I came out of the building there. And if you notice, while I was indoors, I was a little bit above 60 FPS. I think I saw 62 to 63. And you saw that little bit of a micro stutter when I came outside and we had to populate the world again. Now, I usually don't recommend Fortnite on super cheap computers, because as I tested in a previous video about the original Xbox One, which is in my video play history, I picked up that Xbox One for $25 and it played Fortnite perfectly. It ran no problems, 1080p, and it ran better than what you're seeing here. So if you have maybe $100 or less and you're wanting to play something like Fortnite, maybe a couple other light titles like Minecraft or some older games, if that's your price point at that around that $100 or less, consider just getting a console, especially with how expensive parts are right now, and you will get a better experience than what you would out of a PC. I usually like to market PCs as the premier gaming experience because it just opens up such a wide variety of games and options, and it's really just a more immersive way to get into gaming than a console. But as I usually say, you have to temper your expectations. Now, as I was saying, with this computer, I had no intention of playing as long as I did, but as you can see, we're in the, there's 23 people left. I have 3 kills, and just wait until the end. You'll see how far I got on this, quasi potato PC. Once again, I wanted to apologize for my newbiness in the game. I know just standing out there like a target on that cliff is not smart, but let's be honest, you can't go prone, as far as I know, in Fortnite. typically, if I'm playing any first-person shooters, I'm usually playing Call of Duty. It's a little bit more realistic, I guess. Fortnite's fun enough. I play with my kids every once in a while, but the cartoony aspects of the game and all of the constantly shifting downloadable content with the characters and skins and emotes or whatever they're called nowadays just is a little bit more than I want to deal with. So I don't usually play this newbie in games. It's just learning Fortnite, but I do enjoy it and enough that I'm probably going to start picking it up maybe once or twice a week to just get a little better sense of the game and understand what I need to do to make it a better experience, considering that I use it to test quite a few PCs. And here we are with the last 10 players in the game. As you can see by the FPS counter, I know it's not super easy to see, but I don't want to bog down any system resources. I want as much of the system resources to go to the game as I can. So if it's got a built-in FPS counter, I'm going to try to use it. But anyhow, we're hovering right around that 40 to 38 to maybe 45 range, and it was pretty stable. Other than the random stutters due to loading in new sections, which once again I still totally attribute to that hard drive going out on the system. I think that I probably could have played this with tweaking the settings a little bit more and actually had a relatively stable, enjoyable experience. I definitely think capping that FPS to 60 and maybe turning the resolution scale down just a little bit more might boost that frames. Visuals might suffer a little bit, but the framing or the FPS would bump right up a little bit when you reduce that visual fidelity. So as you can see here, I'm sitting here last 5 players in the game, 5 kills on a computer that I paid $40 for. It was a computer that I found on Facebook Market last year. The guy was moving, had it since new. It was, I believe it's an 11-year-old computer, if I remember correctly, but I can't give out too much info, as I had said, because it is the subject of another video I am currently making. And here you can see there's just 2. There's me and some other player. I'm in this slash circle. I believe the bush provides concealment that you can't see me. And I get the drop on this guy. I would have won this game, and I should have won this game. And I'll just let you see what happens. And then I'll come back with my closing thoughts and we'll end the video. And right here is where that stupid hard drive costs me the game. I wanted to say thank you once again for joining me for another video. I really hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. I tend to find that some of the best videos I make are the ones that are kind of spontaneous. This was spontaneous. I had no plan whatsoever to play as long as I did. But as you saw, I almost won. So, what are we going to do? I am currently in the process of cloning the 7200 RPM drive over to a equal size solid state hard drive. I have a drive clone that I got from Micro Center. Allows me to clone a drive. Sometimes it takes 6 hours. A 1 terabyte is probably going to take all night. But that being said, with the series that I'm currently working on with this computer, I've realized that I've had to make some exceptions, and some situations have come up with that challenge that I wasn't expecting. For example, this drive being a failing component, I think we're going to have to make an exception that I'm going to try to get it to a functional status before we do the testing, because there's no point making a video where it's like, yep, I got this computer, it can't play anything because it's broke. That doesn't let you test out or set a baseline if it's not doing anything. So I'll get more into that series in the next, hopefully tomorrow. I'm really hoping to get a lot of testing done as long as that drive clones like they have for me in the past. So once again, I'm Jake with Nerding in My 30s. I really appreciate the support. If you liked what you saw, please consider giving me a like and subscribe, and turn on notifications for the next one. I'm Nerdy30, and I'm signing out.